Hi guys, welcome back to the channel with Toon and Lee in Thailand on the farm. And today I've got something super cute for you guys to have a look at. You all know Vince, don't you? Our main man on the farm. Well, he's now a proud dad, and check out, I'd like to introduce to you Vince Jr. Oh, he's legged it. I'll get a close-up of him later for you. But if that's not the son of Vince, I'll eat my flip-flop. He never shuts up, I tell you. But very cute. Right then. Of course, we're at the fence pond. Toon's shot off doing her errands in town. So it's early afternoon. Everything's just been fed on the farm. So what's Lee doing then? What's he up to? I just fancy a bit of a dabble, so I thought I'd come and try and snare a monster or two. Now, you've all watched Jaws 1, haven't you? Great movie, one of my favourites. Roy Schreider, legend. You remember the two guys that fished off the jetty just before it got dark, and the shark pulled the jetty in? Well, my setup is similar to that. Like a big metal chain and a massive meat hook. It's no frills, but hopefully plenty of spills. Big stuff in here. I've tried to video it before, and I just kept on getting my line snapped and me hook pulled straight. So I've beefed things up. I've set up my peg. I've spotted out some mix. I've plumbed the depth. No, of course I haven't. It's a piece of piss fish in here. I've just set it like a sliding float setup, giant float there with a ground bait swim feeder underneath, short hook link to a giant meat hook, and then an ingenious sliding stop knot at the end, which you can vary the depth with. So I know all this skills from just one man. So we've got a box of goodies down here as well. These things you can't buy in the UK anymore. Landing nets with bloody knots on, same with the keep nets, but it's about the only thing that's strong enough in Thailand, so we use that. We've got some of Gang's biscuits. I haven't told her I've nicked them all. We've got a little bit of chicken liver defrosting there, so maybe a chance of getting some snakehead. My wank rag in case it's a bit slow. And then a bucket of How's Your Father, which is a right old mixture. So we'll just mould that onto the swim feeder, put a couple of dog biscuits on the hook, and see how we get on. Right then. I'm going to be using noggin cam. That's why I've set up in the semi-shade here. So I'm not going to hopefully get burnt to a crisp. And then I'm hiding behind the eucalyptus. Yes, I know eucalyptus is poisonous to some fish, but it's dropped into here. It's just got a bit of a bend on it, so I'll use it as a rod rest and hide behind it. Okay, let's wet a line. Okay, noggin cam is on. Hopefully I'll get all this in shot for you so you can have a look at how we set this up. Now, for you guys that do your carp fishing or specimen hunting, but certainly in Europe, you will know straight away that Lee's a naughty boy. I have not got a safety rig. Okay, basically when we talk about safety rigs, if the fish parts company with the rod and reel, so say if the line was to snap here, they would be tethered with that. There's no way that they can break that. A pacu might be able to bite through that. Basically they'd be towing that around. It's alright if this breaks here, the float down that end will just slide off. But in the UK we would have a safety link so that the swim feeder or a lead could jettison. So I've ordered some, and hopefully I'll be getting some soon if they can make their way out here. So when we have the fishing lake open, everything will be safety rigs then. So unfortunately that's the way it goes, but you go fishing to a lot of lakes in Thailand and they're all tether rigs. Okay, right, so this basic setup, if you've ever fished for something like Mekong catfish, the giant Mekong catfish, or Sawai, the striped catfish, chow prior catfish can also be caught like this, black ear catfish. It's a very, very no-nonsense approach. They're big fish, they have big appetites, so you just mould a load of ground bait round there. If I was fishing one of the big waters, I would make this even bigger. Okay, now normally we would have a few strips of what would you call it, just bread crust, or I would have this short, even shorter hook link, about that long, and then just put nothing on the hook, or a tiny little white foam ball. And the reason being, giant Mekong catfish and Sawais, they'll just come along noshing your balls, and then it will just suck in the hook. So that's quite an effective way to get them. But we're not overstocked in here, so when that hits the deck, well, it won't hit the deck because I'm not fishing very deep. This will be floating up and around there, and hopefully they'll take that in. Right, I'm going to try and launch this in without having an epic fail and it flying off. You've got to throw it fairly softly. I'm going to try and reposition a noggin cam as well. It's total guesswork with noggin cam. Could be blah-de-blahing for about half an hour and then you guys see nothing. Okay, so you can see as this sinks down, the sliding float will go up and get stuck there. You see some floating beads there. That will stop there. Well, that's the idea. Probably get chuff all. Right, I think I better stand up. Rod's a bit soft. I haven't got my Kevin Nash specimen rods anymore. And that is it. Wait for the magic to happen. We've never done this in here before, so it could be an epic fail. It's a self-hooking rig. There's a lot of weight in the rig itself, so once the fish start nubbing around your ball of ground bait, once they feel the prick of the hook, the barb, then they bolt off. That helps to sort of like half set the hook, and then you just lean into the fish. You don't have to do sort of like a running jump and strike with all your worth like you see them in a lot of these fishing lakes in Thailand. Just lean into the fish, and the weight of the fish will easily set the hook. I'm just about to bring the float in. It's been in about 2 minutes and it started nubbing, so it just started to bob up and down. But you don't strike at those, not unless it's sort of like quite electric, like that. That means you've got a small fish that's hooked itself. When you're getting one of these catfish, you just wait for your float to go under or be towed along about 4 or 5 feet, and then you know you're into one. So I won't leave it much longer. What you've got to do is try and form a cloud of ground bait hanging in the water. Then the fish become confident, and then they're relatively easy to hook. Oh, there's just a big swirl right next to me float there. We could get a take in a minute. I didn't think they'd come this close in. A lot of the bottom feeding catfish and predatory fish, they hang around the edges of lakes and ponds. The big Mekong catfish and the striped catfish, wherever you fish, they tend to stay out right in the middle and normally the deepest part of the lake. Right, I'm going to bring this in, get some more ground bait on the go. We've got a whole bucket of it to use up. Right, as you can see, that's not great. That's not what you want to see. I've squeezed it a little bit too too hard, but they had Pet Gang's dog biscuits off the hook. They're quite soft. Just soak them for a few minutes, then take the excess water out and they become a little bit wobbly. Right, let's try and make this a little bit softer. And that will not get them into a feeding frenzy. Now, when we fished a place called Bung Samrang in Bangkok, before it moved, it's now Bung Samrang 2, different location, we haven't been there. What you used to do, just before you made it really tight, you'd put your bait on there and then wrap some more bread round it. I'm not going to do that though, I'll just leave it on the side and then it should ping out. Let's try again. Keep forgetting about my noggin cam facing down. So. This rod is way too soft. Normally just use it for spinning. Right in the gizzard. Right then. Hopes are high for that one. That ground bait can start breaking up. Once they know it's food, then they'll start hitting it and breaking it up themselves anyway. Top tip, guys. When you're fishing like this, you end up with loads of ground bait on you. So another bucket with some water. Great stuff. Oh, I've just used me a man rag, haven't I? Never mind. So sometimes it's patience, you just got to keep on throwing it until the fish get on the feed. Sometimes you've got to make it happen, you've either got to move, which is no point here, or you go a little bit deeper or a little bit shallower. So not many fish crashing around at the moment, so if I was going to change the depth I'd go deeper. This pond's about 5 meters deep. We could fish straight on the bottom with a swim feeder, but you'd have to fish quite a light swim feeder, not a lead, because the clay is so soft. If you used anything over 1 ounce it would just disappear and pull your hook bait down. The float just shot up about 3 inches in the air. What that means is that the fish has grabbed hold of the hook bait and has swam above your swim feeder and it's dragged the ball of ground bait higher, making the float lighter. There, it's just doing it again. I'm going to pick my rod up in anticipation and close my bail arm. Like so many different styles of fishing, I'm sure most of you are aware, once you get 1 or 2 fish feeding, then it becomes competitive and they're less cautious, and then they'll all have a go at it. Quite easy to catch fish once they're competing for the food. Check me drag. Get in there. If that's a 3-inch roach, I'll eat my hat. Pretty sure my dog biscuits are gone. Incorrectly. Still too much bait left. Right then. Let's sort this out. Bad angling, mate. I just had a quick phone call from Toon. See, just got stopped by the guy we bought the old tractor from, and he's bringing us a few bags of ram. So it's the very fine powder rice seed from the husk, or the hull rather, and they also want a tray of eggs. So it's a bit of bartering going on. It's quite nice with some of the locals there. They're more than happy to exchange goods rather than hand over money. It's a nice way of doing business. Rightly, one good shot here, and I think we're in, mate. Something's hungry out there. Like the sinking of the Bismarck when that lands. Before I went back to the house to meet that guy with the eggs, I just threw a couple of balls of ground bait in, and when I've just returned now, come through the fence pond gate, there was a couple of dark shadows just under the surface, so I think they're switched on. Oh, it's gone. Oi! That's not big, I don't think. Wouldn't you bloody know it, guys? Just landed this and my GoPro has died. Now, this is a Mekong catfish. This fish is 1.5 years old. So we put these in as sort of like, I suppose they were about a 2-ounce fish when we came here. This is just to clarify what makes it a Mekong catfish and definitely not a striped Sawai catfish. And this is why I was having a bit to do with Toon and Pyong the other week when he was throwing the cast net and got striped catfish. He was sure that they were babuk, the Mekong catfish, and I said they're not. Look here, there's no whiskers. When they're very, very young, and I'm talking about 3 or 4 months, there'll be little whiskers there. And the other way you check is by putting your finger in there and just running along there. It is as smooth as a baby's bum, whereas a Sawai catfish would be rough. They're like a Brillo pad. Okay. Other than that, they're pretty similar. The Mekong catfish is broader across the head here, and their mouth is bigger than a Sawai catfish. To me, it's dead easy to spot the differences. The eye is slightly lower slung than the Sawai as well. The Sawai one would be about there. Okay, but I'm going to get this back. It's a nice proportioned fish. So happy the rate that it's been growing. I'm not very good with kg, but I would put this at about 2 kg, maybe a fraction more, which is about right for a Sawai catfish. All the fins are lovely and intact as well. They split quite easy. There's split. Oi, 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 oi. Right, let's get it back. Nice girth. And we all know it's not the length, guys, it's the girth, isn't it? So let's pop it back in. It's quite deeply hooked, so I'm going to shorten my hook link so they hook a little bit quicker and hopefully right at the side of the mouth. Go on, mate. They're my favourite fish in Thailand. I call them a freshwater cow. They're very gentle, of course, until you prick them with a hook. Right, shorten that hook link and in we go again. There's the new shortened hook link, so only about 3 or 4 inches now. Just use a 5-turn grinner knot on there. I would normally use the knotless knot, that's not a joke. It's just that this piano wire line is so thick I can't get it through the eye of the hook twice, so reverted back to the 5-turn grinner knot. If we were fishing for the real big stuff, I wouldn't be using a size 4. Size 4 looks massive when you first come to Thailand, but we catch sort of like half kg tilapia on these, so yeah, I wouldn't even use something as small as a size 2, guys. Just get the biggest meat hook you can get and make sure it's as strong as an ox, because they don't half pull. But that's if you're getting the big ones. So that one I just caught, let's say it's about 1.5 years old. We've got some in here that are about 4 years old, but they were a little bit stunted when we put them in because they've been in our concrete tanks for security. So they're originally, finger pointing, about 500 yards that way in the far fence pond before we were living here, stupidly really, but when you think back we were bloody idiots. Most of them got poached, but Toon managed to get a few out while I was back in the UK and saved them and put them back at the bloody duck raping going on out there. Put them in the concrete tanks back at the house in the village. So we've still got them. That's the main thing. But I'd like to get 1 or 2 of them and the sawai, because they were nice and fat when we put them in here, so they should be a little bit bigger now. Fingers crossed. If you come into Thailand and you like your fishing, get yourself to a fishing park that's got these giant Mekong catfish in, guys. To me, they're the strongest fighting fish I've ever hooked into in my life. I know people rave on about arapaima and Wells catfish and Siamese carp, that sort of thing, but believe you me, the Mekong catfish, it's head and shoulders above the rest of them. You hook into one round about the 100-pound mark or bigger, they rip your bloody arm out your socket. So we've fished for them a few times. It's going to be the main species that we're stocking into our lake. They do grow very quickly, so they can reach over 100 pounds in 6 years if they're fed right. Not sure how big they are in here now. We put a few in here that are about 5 kg when we come back from when we moved here from the village house. So it'd be interesting to see. Oh, something's having a go. On how much weight they've put on since they've been in here. A lot more natural food, of course, and the duck muck will be helping as well, but we don't feed them in here, so I'd like to get 1 or 2 out and just see the proportions of it. If they're long and skinny, then we could start putting food in here, you know, and they'll pack on the weight. But if they're small and skinny, then that'll be rubbish. Now unfortunately I haven't got noggin cam anymore, just using my phone, but that is a proper one, and again it's one of the new fish. It is mint, absolutely mint. That's how I know that it's one of the recent ones that we put in. I mean, for a 1.5 years old, that's a proper unit, that is. So it's a good length and the girth looks perfect to me. So the other ones that we put in, the bigger ones, they're a bit battle scarred, all of them. So I know for a fact this is one of the new ones. I'm really happy with the size and the condition of that. That's brilliant. Good stuff. Right, let's pop it back then. I just want to try and get a sawai for you and show you the difference. But you can see they start to really turn into a powerful creature once they get a few kg on them. That's brilliant. Oh, I'm chuffed to bits. Any of you from Europe that used to go bagging bream, or we used to call it bream bashing, will know all too well about bream snots. Well, giant Mekong catfish have got the equivalent as well. That's gopping. That looks like something out of one of them Japanese videos where all the guys seem to be having a nice time around one woman, whatever that's called, bucket or something, isn't it? So stinky polecat will know. But yeah, we'll get that off the line now. Unfortunately, the thunder is rolling in, so I'm only going to be able to try another throw or two. If Toon comes back and she sees me, with me rod out, she won't be happy. So yeah, lightning storm's quite bad out here, and have been threatening a few days. Right, bloody bly, time for one more. Well, that was a bit of a pisser, guys. As I was just getting into them, and the weather closed in really quickly, and we couldn't take any chances out here. It's very dangerous, electrical storm, so I binned it off. It's cleared up a little bit now, but just behind me, it's still hanging around. So we've called it a day for today. We'll have another bash another time. But on the whole, really chuffed with the last giant Mekong catfish that I caught. I keep on saying they're giant. They're not really giant. That's just their name. If you want to know a little bit more about them, you can read my blog. I know, a blog. Lee writes. Lee tries to write. It's a new thing. It's on the website. Our new website. I'll put a link in the description below, and there's just about everything you need to know about Mekong catfish. and where to go and get them, and there's some links there to different fishing parks over Thailand, and also there's some reputable fishing guides. Put some links on there as well. So I'm not available as a fishing guide in Thailand. I mean, if you wanted me to be a guide for you, you want your bloody noggin feeling anyway. Toon might be alright at being a guide, but not me, not so much. Alright, so there's a few other blogs on there about fish as well. Did one on, I think it was tilapia and walking catfish, growing them for food. And we've also got a guest article on there from a guy called Eddie Bright. Some of you will already know him from his posts in Rural Life Thailand, the Facebook group that we run. Almost 500 members now, guys, so if you're not a member and you fancy picking the brains or just having a look at what some of the other guys are up to out in rural Thailand, I can recommend that one. But of course I recommend it, we bloody run it, don't I? So I think that's it. The Giant Mekong Catfish. Get on it. It's the fish in Thailand. Some of you may disagree. The Giant Siamese Carp is another A1 fish in my book for Thailand, but we've only got a handful of those, and God knows how big they are now, but they were only about 1 kg when we put them in the fence pond, so I wouldn't have thought they're very, very big. As always, guys, thanks for watching, and we'll see you soon. Ta-da for now.